Today we're talking about a simple change to the way you train that will improve how effective you are, and maybe how successful you are at the things that you want to do. So last week when I was in Laramie, I got a chance to roll with Nick Hatterley of the Saratoga Platte Valley Martial Arts School. And afterwards, we talked about things that I could do to improve myself. How could I do better? I mean, he smashed me. He's very, very good. His jiu-jitsu background, his judo background, I mean, guy put it to me on the mat, and it was awesome. Learned a ton in a short amount of time. One of the things that we talked about was transitioning. So even though I know better, I know that I shouldn't let my back get flat to the mat. When you're working with somebody who's good at flattening you to the mat, and in that moment, sometimes you just don't remember to do it. You're not ahead of yourself. It's part of the skill progression. As you get better at something like jiu-jitsu, there are things that you know you shouldn't do, but you still do them. And that's one of them that I've been very bad at, is I keep my back on the mat. I need to get to my side, and I know this. But that's what I needed. And we were talking about that, and Nick's talking about, he's like, hey man, even if you get a little bit sideways, whatever, here's how you do it. And then he brought up something that was so important to me that I wanted to bring it up and talk about it here, which is this idea of the way that we train and the way that we approach drilling that sometimes creates a problem that he identified, which is the idea of starting from a place of failure. Now, admittedly, we do that. We start, okay, you're inside control. Here's what you can do. Somebody's got you held this way. Here's what you can do. This is part of the training. This is part of the way we do it. It's part of the way it's always been done. But what I like that he's doing is he's talking about we need to focus more on the transition, the moments before that, and how we got into that. If we can prevent those things from happening by starting a few seconds earlier, we can be more successful. And so instead of starting inside control, maybe we start while someone is taking side control. And I think as people get better at jiu-jitsu, they do this maybe naturally or it happens more. I know that we've even done it on the mat. There's certain things, in fact, I can think of specific students that I've shown this to that do it better than I do, where I start moving into a position and they're already where they should be, or they're transitioning to that while we move. And that's the kind of thing that I think we need more of. That got me thinking about other arts. I also do karate and Escrima, and in a way, they already do this more inherently. The Escrima especially, it has this idea of moving and striking at the same time. Karate, moving and striking at the same time. Very rarely are you set in a place where you're not moving as soon as movement is detected. You move to me, I move to you, we move together. And that is steeped into that training mentality. There are things, I think karate can be very victim of it, of, okay, they've got you in this position or that position, and you start there. And I do think that we need that. I think that that's a thing that we've got to have as a stair step. We need to identify and isolate the details from that static position. Here is the place you are. Somebody's got you choked. You're going to do this. You're going to do X, Y, Z. Here's how you're going to approach that, whatever. But then, and maybe we as a whole are not good at capitalizing on this, but then we need to move into more transitional technique. Okay, now we're going to start from here and transition to it. Or better yet, we're going to chain this to that. I'm going to move from this thing to that thing. And when that happens, that's when you start applying your technique. This is the way sparring's supposed to work. This is the way that it will work when you're rolling in jiu-jitsu. This is the way that it should be, and the way that you mark a level of progress is when you're no longer getting to a bad place and then trying to figure out the bad place, but instead you're managing and preventing the bad place in motion while it's happening. But if you don't train it, I agree with Nick in this very much, if you don't train it that way, then you might allow yourself to get to the bad place and then do what your training does. It gets to the bad place, and then it effectively tries to do something about it. Well, go against somebody like Nick, who's been pinning people for years. As soon as he got me on my back, good luck. He generally, I didn't tap him a single time. He tapped me repeatedly because his pins were so good, and he got me down, and I was forgetting to do some of that fundamental stuff. Maybe not forgetting. I was waiting too long. By the time I was thinking about it, it was already too late. And that's where we need to train it. he said it, train it this way. I think if we can train things in this way, train the transitions, then we're more likely to do it in sparring. We're more likely to do it in rolling. We're more likely to do it when we need to, because it's been incorporated into the way that we train.